Okay. It says we're live. Yay!
Yay!
I don't know if
It does
anyone
say
is here
that.
right now. I mean, we're obviously here, but I guess, how do we want to start? Should we welcome, I suppose, to our very first club discussion. Today we'll be discussing Mexican Gothic, yay! And obviously this is going to be spoilery, so I would say, like, if you haven't read it, you may not want to watch this right now. I don't know if we want to like go around and introduce ourselves. What do we? Okay, I guess I can start. I'm Kayla, and my channel is Crack Into a Good Book. I've got, I think, all our channel links in the description. But yeah, mostly read a lot of adult fantasy and sci-fi, like most of us here, I think, as well as, you know, some other genres.
I'm Stephanie. My channel is Miss Richards Reads. I read a little bit of everything, but mostly fantasy and mystery.
So I'm Nikki from Books and Lemon Squash. I also read a little bit of everything, but yeah, a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, getting quite into mystery at the moment, and a lot of YA as well, rather than more adult books.
Go, Angela. Go.
Oh, I'm Angela. I'm from the Literature Science Alliance. I read, I guess, based off my stats video, like 70% adult fantasy and sci-fi. I don't read too much YA or middle grade, although they do like get in there once in a while.
Well, at last. I'm Lena. I'm from the channel Sufficiently Advanced Lena, and as all of you, basically, I read mostly SFF, but mostly adult, I would say. Yeah, like 70% like Angela, mostly.
Excellent. Well, I guess we can just generally start with our feelings about it and what we thought. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars. I liked it much more than Gods of Jade and Shadow. So, like, not that I disliked that book, but I liked this one a lot more, I think. So, yeah.
I still haven't read her other books, so. But yeah. Also, I give it 4 stars.
Glaring at me.
I also gave it 4 stars, and I think, yeah, I like it significantly more than Gods of Jade and Shadow, but I was talking with Kayla, and I kind of buddy read this, but I think for me it was because we got to sit in one setting for the whole book, and Gods of Jade and Shadow is more of a traveling story, and I'm just never that great at traveling stories. Like, that's not the book's fault. That's just a me and my preference fault.
Yeah, I love a traveling story, and that has just sold it even more.
Oh, yeah. No, you like traveling stories and mythology, Gods and Jade and Shadows.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, throw in a quest and I'm all yours, you know.
Well, I know Stephanie really liked Gods of Jade and Shadow, so I really want to know how it compares for you.
I gave it this one 5 out of 5 stars. I liked it more than Gods of Jade and Shadow. Like you said, we get one place and we really get to sink into it. And I thought it was a little better executed than Gods of Jade and Shadow.
Yeah.
Like, I like Naomi a lot more than Cassiopeia.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree.
I was more
like a rough start with Naomi. I was just like.
Also, I think I said Naomi, and it caused a problem with Noemi.
Okay.
Noemi. Yeah, I started off like, I don't know, I was kind of meh on her at the beginning, just like, it was hard to get much of a sense of her, but then like as we went along, like, you know, I liked how she liked to dress up and everything and be fabulous, but also she was like, oh no, I kind of want to do like this, was it anthropology or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And she had some more depth, and I was like, yeah, I can appreciate like a well-rounded person.
Yeah.
Well, she was also early 20s, right? So I really liked that she was obviously someone in her like part of life where she's like, I don't really know what I want to do yet.
Yeah.
And that was like, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, it's barely normal now, but especially not for 1950s woman,
Yeah.
a rich family.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I gave it 4.5 stars, and I was one of the ones of us kind of going, I am really not sure I'm actually even going to read it because I'm a huge wuss. And I'm so glad that peer pressure got to me.
Yes.
I absolutely loved it.
Excellent.
Yeah, I didn't find it that creepy, but I'm not like good at visualizing. So whenever they were discussing all of the fungus and like the black spots on what his Howard or whatever. I was like, yeah, I don't need to see it, so I'm just going to tell my brain to not process that. So
full on visual for me, it was creepy.
Yeah, same. Oh, that scene with Howard.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh.
that was gross. I don't know. I feel like compared to other, I feel like Gothic horror can sometimes be like super creepy, but this one, it was tense, but I don't know if I was like ever full on scared, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it was most like mystery.
Yeah.
Than anything else.
I was really tense.
The right line of like kind of creepy thriller, like
exactly
what's going to happen next, and oh my god, I want like no one can be trusted, which I always like.
Yeah, that's where my tension was. Is I really could not tell if I could trust. Is his name Francis? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to trust you, Francis, but you are such a white boy, and I'm very scared. Like, I was so tense. Like,
I said the same thing to Gail. I was reading about the book, which is like, I really like Francis, but something's telling me that I can trust him.
And like, he's not a perfect character or anything, like, right? Like, he's very, it takes him a long time to realize maybe I should not let my family do this.
But I should have some morals.
I don't know. Okay, well, I mean, jumping straight into the end, speaking of Francis, like, I'm conflicted because on one hand, I do like how it ends, but on the other, like, I kind of thought that he would not be able to break away from his family, I suppose, and just, like, would actually turn on her and betray her. But
not like full-on betrayal, but something. Like, he's a little suspicious, and right at the end, you'll be like, ooh.
But that was almost like a twist in itself because we all expected him to do that.
It's true. Very true.
I've always felt anticlimactic, but actually now you put it like that, I'm actually kind of glad that that's how it played out.
Oh man. Yeah.
I kind of actually really like Virgil also. He was just like, yeah, I'm the perfect child. And then by the end, was just like, nah, I kill everyone. That's it.
All the way through, I was like,
okay.
I despised Virgil with every fiber of my being.
He was like an interesting character. I was just like, well, yeah, he's the bad guy. Okay.
As a character, sure, he's an interesting character. As a person I would meet in real life, like, I just could not handle it.
Yeah.
Probably like a punch in the face.
What his intentions were as well. Like, you sort of like, yeah, you're definitely a bad dude, and then every now and then you're like, are you really? What's going on here? Like, and then you're like, no, you're definitely a bad dude. And then 2 seconds later, you're like, oh, I'm not sure.
I feel like Howard and what's the mom's name? Florence, is that right?
Yeah.
I feel like they both kind of sucked from the beginning, and like there were never any moments where I was like, maybe they could be okay. Like, no, they were just like terrible the entire time.
Oh, especially the mother. She was just like such a yes.
The minute Howard started talking about eugenics, I'm like, so you are not my friend.
Angela and I kind of talked about this while reading it, but like with Howard, I mean, we were trying to figure out the timeline there and like when exactly they moved to Mexico, but we were like, I mean, if he's been there for 100 years, how has he not learned Spanish at all? Like,
he didn't want to.
Yeah. What an asshole.
Well, and speaking of Howard, Sylvia Moreno Garcia put so much work into his name. I can't remember it right now, but like some of it's based off Lovecraft and some of it's based off, I think someone worked on Sherlock Holmes. I can't remember.
Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yeah. So, and even Noemi's name is based off of a Latin horror director, I think. So,
I didn't know that.
It was in the thread. I just like went down in it. I'm like, oh, I love when authors tell me all the things.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Let's see.
How long? So I was curious about this because I did find a lot of the beats extremely predictable. I didn't mind it, but like Kayla can attest that I was like predicting things like right before they happened, and I was pretty upset. just me? Because I don't read this genre ever, but I was like, okay, the fungus is doing stuff, so it's the fungus, and I was just like connecting these dots. I was curious how you guys interacted with the plot.
I think somewhat similarly, but equally, that's not normally how fungus works. So, like, there's parts of me that were kind of like, there is definitely something more going on here with, like, you know, and it was just sort of just waiting to see how it was exactly going to play out. But the general kind of strokes, I was there kind of going, okay, yeah, there's definitely something in those there walls.
Mm-hmm. I don't really read this genre either. I kind of predicted the fungus, but I was kind of just rolling with it, since I don't really read this genre. So I wasn't trying to predict anything. So I think I was a little more surprised than you guys were.
Well, I think the few thriller movies I've seen, it's very similar to those. I think she did that on purpose. This is a 1950s setting, so the only thrillers I've seen are 1950s movies. And it's very similar to like Gaslight and other things like that. So
God.
Yeah. Which, like, I didn't know till after I read this that the movie Gaslight is how we got the word gaslighting. I didn't know that. It makes
really?
sense now.
Oh,
but
I mean, I guess that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The more you know.
That's a great movie with Angela Lansbury, like a goddess of movies.
That is a good movie.
Yeah. Her debut. Without that, do we get Murder, She Wrote? I don't know.
Doubt
True.
it.
Yeah, I guess with the plot, I mean, like Angela, you know how this went for both of us, but like I figured that there was something biological going on, and then I think I had seen something before this that had mentioned how it was kind of similar to the yellow wallpaper, and so I was like, okay, well, there's something obviously like in the wall. She's going to think that she's going crazy, and you know, I feel like I wasn't terribly surprised. I guess like the whole symbiotic relationship was mildly surprising, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely like there's something more than just this fungus going on. But I enjoyed it.
While I try and plug in my phone.
I think the visuals were more shocking for me than the fungus twist, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Like girl Howard decaying and
yeah,
nasty.
Stop it.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that the house was almost like a character on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I love that trope so much.
Yes.
Creepy houses are there. It's just something about it.
Well, and it sounds like such a cool house in general. So seeing it as kind of like a character is really cool.
I saw a house like that. I imagined like it, someone was like, "Oh, buy this creepy old house and help me do it up," and I was like, "That is a creepy old house. That could totally be the house from Mexican Gothic." It might not look anything like it, but it just had that vibe, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near that. That wallpaper's going to eat me."
I think that was part of one of my biggest surprises when I picked this up, because I feel like most people, I didn't read much about it. I knew there was a house. I knew there was something with a cousin. I didn't realize, like, I knew it was in Mexico, so I assumed it would be with all Mexican people. I didn't know we were going to have this, like, European, like, infiltration. And then, like, this, like, the racial tension, the eugenics part, like, once it came in, I'm like, okay, I think I actually know approximately how this story is going to go. You're going to try and use this new blood, this potentially better part of the savage race or something to help your line. Like, I assumed something like that would happen, but like I didn't expect that to be part of it. I don't know why. Granted, I didn't know what I expected. So.
Oh, Amber is here. Hello, Amber. The shrooms part was odd.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me, the scariest imagery was that lady with her mouth always open, like the golden lady shroom.
Oh,
She was creepy.
Who was that again? Was one of the wives? Agnes?
the first one, I think, no?
Let me see. Yes, I think it was Agnes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was her. Like, remember there's that flashback to like the first like native thing person, like when they were like first getting the fungus. Like there was that first death, but I didn't know which one it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like Agnes, but
Yeah.
That was definitely alarming.
Yeah, that was more than I expected.
Well, just all the incest in that family was rough. Like that's just gross in general.
Yes.
But and it's a
That
sort of
family.
it's a trigger warning, but equally is one of the places where I was like, that does sort of hint towards how it's going to play out. But yeah, I was a bit like, oh no, not incest, no, no.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was curious because I'm someone who was forced to read Wuthering Heights once, but promptly forgot about it after I had to take the exam. And I know she was inspired by that book while writing this. So for people who have read and remember it better, what do you think she told? Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking more. I don't know. Have you read it, Stephanie? I feel like you like classics more than me.
I've read it, but it's been so long. But I can definitely see where she got influenced by it.
All I remember in that story is just a lot of unhealthy relationships. There are 2 Catherines, and the house is very rundown.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to even think when I read it. I think I read it in undergrad, and I remember nothing about it other than like a lot of angst and terrible people and some, I don't know, walking around on the moors or whatever.
I was trying to remember if that family used to be like, I couldn't remember how like prestigious that family was in Wuthering Heights. Like if they had fallen from grace kind of like this family had or not. Like I'm also not very familiar with Gothic settings.
Oh, I was looking actually right now. One film that this book reminds me of so much. Have you seen Crimson Peak?
No, but I have heard of it, and I can definitely see the resemblance.
I was reading the book and I was just like, this is so similar to that. Like the decaying old house, creepy sister, creepy stuff, and it's just like, so similar.
That cousin at the end though, how she came through and like actually got cognizant enough to like help at the end scene with the climax.
Yeah, I guess that was a little surprising.
For herself, actually, like even though she couldn't, while Naomi was there, it was like I liked that she was trying and she was aware enough to try and do something, like, even if it didn't work. Oh, we've lost our static. Yay! I don't know.
Nope, that was back.
I thought it was me. I'm gonna try and log off and log back in a second.
What was I? So speaking of like that fungal thing, has anyone else got really nervous about like just mold in your own life after reading the book for a while? Yeah. Just like staring at my bathroom a little weirder.
I cleaned my showers this morning. It was like definitely getting to that point where I was like, okay, I can't handle it. Mold is never good.
It has like a great creepy vibe. I love that about the book. Like it wasn't that scary, but that vibe, it's just like old house, the mold. It's just,
I love the suspense of it. It was very well written.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there were really no dull parts, and like the entire time I was like, okay, I want to know what's going on, and it kept me wanting to read it throughout the book for sure.
I do know people who thought. Sorry, Lena, go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say in pacing, like I agree, I was involved, but I do know people who thought the first 2/3 were pretty slow, and I can see it because this is definitely a 3-act story. If you didn't like this setup act, which is just setup, but I don't mind it. I don't mind false sense of security, getting to know a space before it really creeps up on me. Like I think that's fine. And I thought the second act was really interesting. Like I feel like you can lull there, but I thought this one had a lot of information. And the third one was just like, get out of here.
Yes.
And I very there.
Definitely.
I know, very
I really like that. I really enjoyed it. The part where just like, oh no, everything is fine, don't worry. Just like, wow, completely fine. I actually think that it wasn't that long, actually.
I mean, it's a short
book.
book.
A very long book.
I think because so many of us are Sanderson fans that the beginning didn't really seem slow because we're used to like hundreds of pages of build up.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, this is great.
Well, and like I do know I read it over 3 days, and anything you read over 3 days, how long is that? That's like nothing. Like that's
Yeah.
very quick. So,
Yeah,
although
I read like half of it while waiting for my car to get like the state inspection and stuff. So it was definitely like, I had nothing else to do, and I was like just going to keep reading it, so it worked out pretty well.
Did anybody listen to the audiobook?
Mm-mm.
oh, good
Yeah,
back.
I listened to part of it on audio.
Was it good?
It was pretty good. Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Like-
listening to it on audio would be creepy as fuck, and I really want to try it now.
a little bit. Especially the hover part. Yeah.
Ugh.
That's even more disgusting while you're listening to it.
How do you pronounce Noemi's last name since you listened to the audiobook?
What was the last name? I'm just terrible with names in general. So
Taboada, I think.
Taboada.
Yeah.
I'm just bad at pronouncing names, and I'm reading a book right now that's like completely outside my comfort zone of like language, and I'm like, oh god.
Oh.
I'm so bad at pronouncing things.
The audiobook actually really respected the names, and it was just like spot on. So I actually think that the narrator was probably Latin American, probably because she was just like Noemi Taboada, and I was just like, every single name, so probably.
Yeah, it drives me nuts when they don't pronounce it correctly. Like I haven't read Wicked Saints, but I started the audiobook and she doesn't pronounce the name like the author says, and I just had to quit. I couldn't do it.
That is annoying. Apparently that's true with Priory of the Orange Tree as well, although I think it's minor.
Huh.
But I think Sam has said that it's like not what she thought.
Oh.
So weird, just because like the whole thing with the Hugos recently is like this is not live. You can re-record it.
Corrected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can adjust.
Mhm.
Like if you were to play a song wrong for a music album, you would be forced to re-record that.
Very true.
That's not like I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
weird.
but I suppose most of the time, like you're in charge of how it sounds on that. Like in terms of like you're like that's the right pronunciation. You'd only re-record it if you'd be like, oh man, I got that pronunciation wrong like halfway through.
Yeah, I don't know. But then it just comes down to my brain of, well, it was your job. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
You had one job.
it's like I give people who do things for a
Literally
hobby
one.
more grace. So yeah. What else do we have to talk about? Kayla made great notes for those of you who are not seeing our private chat.
I
It's
love
literally like
your
eugenics. There's a fungus among us. Plot, similarities, inspiration, the feels, the ending, and then just like other stuff. But
I do like how you compared it to the yellow wallpaper. I thought that was really accurate. I recently reread it. I listened to it on audio and it was so creepy. And they just go together perfectly.
But yeah, I read it back in high school, so like my memory of it is very hazy. But like literally all I remember about it is like when she's like walking around the room, stripping off the wallpaper and like crawling over her husband and or whoever that was. Like, yeah,
Why is this that I have missed? What the hell?
it's like a very strange short story by Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
You have to read it.
It's a pseudo memoir too, and it like I think changed how like mental health kind of worked with women because like originally, if you were hysterical as a woman, they just put you in a room for a long time, and this was this woman's like
Slowly
sort of
going
account,
insane.
reimagining of it thing.
Yeah.
It does not sound awesome. Like,
No.
the book sounds like it might be good.
I remember it just being weird, but it's one of those things where it's like where I read it for high school English, so we had to analyze it to death. So it's like, would I actually like it now if I were to read it for fun? I don't know.
I think there's one book I liked when I read them at high school, and I still can't. I don't think I'd go back to any of them.
Yeah.
That's your cat. Who's
Oh.
cat?
She doesn't want to be on TV today.
Yeah.
It also reminded me of, and it makes sense because I think the short story I'm about to mention was also inspired by the yellow wallpaper, but Carmen Maria Machado has a short story collection called Her Body, Other Parties, and one of them in there is also a story of a woman exploring her sanity in a way in this like resort where she has to like write this story, and it was reminding me of that very atmospheric short story too. So if you want something like that there's a lot of creepy things in that short story collection. They're very much like this vibe of creepy too.
Yeah.
Is that Her Body and Other Parts? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, she has like I think 2 main works out. There might be more, but the 2 I know of is that one and her memoir, which I can't remember its name, but her memoir.
Is that in the Dream House or whatever?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't read that one.
Yeah. Oh, we have cat
ears.
Yeah,
Like,
Lily
I'm
Cat
just
is thinking about it.
Yeah, just like in terms of the fungus, it's not quite the same thing, but I read a book, it's called The Genius Plague by, I want to say David Walton, I could be wrong about that, but it was kind of like, it's not horror really, well maybe, I don't know, it's not Gothic horror, but it's basically like, you've got this fungus that's like trying to take over people's brains and control them, so that was pretty great, honestly. But
yeah, like when Nikki was bringing up how for her it didn't feel like this is what fungus do, I'm like, man, there's so much sci-fi where they just use fungus like this willy-nilly like all the time. Like, I think there's one, The Girl with All the Gifts, fungus is a big part of that story.
And in a video game, The Last of Us.
They're like, how can we make this creepy life form that's very important? You don't want to get rid of all fungus, but it's very creepier.
Yeah, there's some sort of it's like nicknamed zombie fungus or whatever, but it like actually hijacks ants and like controls them.
That sounds not fun.
Yay, science.
But it's like almost a symbiotic relation. It's like the house with these people. The house helps them live forever. They just have to do what the house says. It's fine.
Like, what do all these authors have against fungus?
I think it just helps that fungus have to live in dark, creepy environments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who wants like killer sunflower?
Non-creepy fungus.
I would read that. Oh my god, that actually, okay, sunflowers and tomatoes are not the same thing, but have you guys seen Attack of the Giant Killer Tomatoes?
No.
Oh my god. It is like a really god-awful classic horror movie. It's so bad. You have giant tomatoes literally just like slowly rolling over people. It's awful, but
that sounds
amazing. At the same time, it's also pretty great.
It sounds like The Blob.
I didn't watch it.
I'm very amused by the cats. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lily Cat's just run away. She could probably tell by the fact that my laptop went.
She's
Lucy,
just
up
trying
here.
to get on TV, right?
Oh, hi.
She's not happy.
My cats are not here.
Oh my god, you guys. There are 3 sequels to Attack of the Giant Killer Tomatoes. Sorry, the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. There's not giants in there. My bad.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think that's what they have against fungus. But also like the Crucible, that's just fungus, right?
I feel like I could be making this up, but I think there is actually a song that goes along. I'm just going to keep talking about this movie, I guess.
It sounds like Veggie Tales.
It's
like the dark side.
Creepy.
I don't know.
Amber says The Last of Us is also a good fungus story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't handle that. I feel like it's too much for me. And I'd also be really bad at playing it, but
So we haven't talked about it a lot. What about like the dream weird sequences that Noemi had to keep going through? Like, we haven't touched on that and the repercussions of all of that at all. It was at least like a crazy story.
I was warned for like some of the more sexual type stuff that is obviously more towards the end, but as you start, I was like, oh, I wouldn't necessarily have warned for that, and then as it goes towards, I was like, yeah, okay. But like at the start, you're kind of like, oh well, that is super creepy, and then definitely as you get towards the end, there's just nothing about it that is not creepy AF and really unnerving and just wrong. And that's before you get to the actual kind of assault stuff. Like just the dream stuff is Not good.
No.
No, not at all. But I feel like she was constantly describing it as like being like weirdly attracted to him, which I guess was the fungus trying to trick her into stuff, but also being like, hell no, get away from me. So that's like an interesting conflict of feelings.
I didn't think of it as the fungus doing it. I thought it was kind of sort of the whole like the thing where, you know, I mean, maybe it's because I've had a horrible high school life, but the whole being attracted to the thing you know you shouldn't be attracted to because it's, you know, dangerous.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was partially that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But maybe I was projecting.
I mean, it could be a combo of both of those things. I thought maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought the house had something to do with some of those feels.
Well, I know the house had everything to do with, especially in the dream state, her actions and things like that. But I don't think I think it could definitely make her more complicit. But then I remember, I think maybe later on when she was remembering about it, she kind of got a little horny about it. She wasn't comfortable with that. But she was a little bit like, that was kind of hot, but I know it's wrong. Like I felt a definite conversation she had with herself.
Yeah. True.
I did not enjoy that conversation.
No.
It was an honest conversation, though. We need more honest conversation.
We do.
So.
Oh my.
Telling themselves off for the things they find hot. Like, no, bad self.
She's like, I should really like Francis more. And yes, if you had to choose between these two white men, sure, but let's try not these two white men.
Yeah.
Wait, all the other men.
Oh, I also thought that the doctor of the town will have like a more important role, which is
Yeah.
like there for
Yeah.
2 seconds.
He seemed kind
What
of
happened with
useless.
him?
I don't know. I
The
mean,
doctor and the lady who just made the potion and then just got out
Yeah.
of town.
Yeah.
I wanted more from them, definitely.
Yeah. Did you guys? Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. When Noemi gave Catalina that whatever it was, did you actually think that it was opium and that she caused Catalina to have a seizure, like everybody else was saying? I did not believe them at all. But
I think I told you, Kayla, I'm like, oh, whatever fungus thing's happening that we don't know about yet, just didn't like this thing from the outside world.
yeah,
It was very Stranger Things, you know, like it was just like it just wanted its own self and anything else go away.
yes,
I think my more specific theory that we never learned if was right was that it had a plant from a part of the outside world and the fungus didn't want outside world plants. It just wanted its biome. But
that's
that was a little too science-y for what the story was providing.
yeah. I kind of thought that.
Amber, I thought that too.
Yeah,
I like that. That's cool, though.
That she was going to get with the doctor or the plant thing?
Yeah. I really thought that she was going to have like this love triangle with Francis being just like, oh, you can stay in the house, and the doctor will be just like, we should go. This is too dangerous.
Now, I don't actually think Francis and Noemi will stay together, mainly
No, they
because
won't.
there's too much trauma. But I also don't think either one of them are going to be very functional adults in society. Like, I really do feel that ship has sailed. Like, they're alive, but...
Okay, so what do you guys think about the ending? Like, do you think that they actually killed the fungus, or do you think that it's going to make a return? I mean, we'll never know, but what do you think?
I think it could, but
I think
it's
it
pretty
could
close
come back.
ending.
I feel like Kayla and I were talking about this, and I'm like, yes, I do think the fungus still has roots somewhere, because killing fungus is very hard. But it didn't seem like the fungus was the evil. It was the vessel for the evil. Like, there were evil intents. Like, the fungus didn't make Howard Doyle who he is.
True.
No,
Like,
that's very true.
you know, like, he was just himself using the fungus to make his life forever and then taking advantage of everyone to do his bidding. Like, the fungus has that property, and I guess, yes, if another person discovered it and wanted to use it for that. But I don't think it itself is going to go around. Maybe it will make people stay closer to the land. Like, I don't know if you guys ever read Uprooted, but that has like a forest that really makes people want to stay attached to the land. So I could see it being something like that, but I don't think it's going to make zombie people very often.
I hope not. Although, how did you discover that that's what it does? Like, what is wrong with you? How does that happen?
This would be a good science behind the magic video for you, Angela.
Yeah.
The
I
fungus.
know so little about fungus. I have to figure it out. The next one's about dinosaurs, so I'm more excited about that. More specifically, can we make dinosaurs? But
Ooh.
Or should we?
no, I don't do ethics, Stephanie.
Well, it's easy. The answer to that is
Jurassic
definitely
Park
no.
covered all that.
But yeah.
Should we? No. Can we?
Ooh, Amber. Okay, Amber thinks that it'll return. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can totally see that.
No,
There's
yeah, I
always
was
imagining
something
it,
like
though.
that at the end of a horror movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the last scene of Stranger Things season 1 where he coughs up some stuff in the sink.
Oh God, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yep. That kid, I know we're not talking about that show, but that kid gets a tough rap, and all he wants to do is play D&D, and I feel bad for him.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure I ever finished the 3rd season.
Then you've made mistakes.
I know, right? What I keep doing, I keep like, watching a few episodes of shows and then just like trailing off for no real reason.
Oh, and Nikki, don't watch that show if you're a wuss, because it's very terrifying.
That's why I wasn't planning to watch it.
I haven't
I
watched
like
it
freak
yet.
out so hard. I have to be so emotionally ready. And my boyfriend's like, I'm not watching this with you anymore. You're just so crazy. I have to know what happens.
You know what, that makes me feel so much better about my decision, because my sister was like, oh, you could watch it, it's not that bad. It just doesn't seem like it's for me, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just hardcore worse. I like my things to be soft and fluffy.
No, it's slimy and dark and
Yeah.
terrifying.
And pretty disgusting at times, but
Yeah. Yes, it's really good, but yeah, like it's on the creepier end of things, I would say.
yeah.
It's terrifying. If you can't handle jump scares, it's terrifying.
Oh, no, oh, God, yeah.
No, I'm speaking for the wusses. It's
This is unite.
Yes.
Oh my God. Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative, her and Brad Proctor just got me to start watching The Haunting of Hill
Oh.
House.
Oh,
I don't think I
it's
could
going
handle
to
that
suffer
at all.
so much.
But now it's like I'm invested, so I have to
Yeah.
finish it. But I'm regretting starting it.
That's how I felt with
It
Stranger
gets less
Things. My
scary.
ex made me watch it, and the first episode is so compelling, and I'm like, well, the sci-fi here is so good,
Yep,
and I need to know.
And it's so beloved by everyone.
it
Well,
is.
before it was beloved, this was like its opening weekend on Netflix. So it was before the nonsense.
Actually, I think that the Haunted on Hill House gets less scary with every
Oh,
chapter.
it
I think
does?
that the first
Okay.
3-4 chapters are just like, whoa, stop it. I think it just like gets just like more mysterious kind of thing.
Hmm.
It's like,
Interesting.
Okay, I can
Okay,
go with
okay.
that.
yeah,
I feel like I can
Definitely.
handle reading horror much better than I can handle watching it. And like I don't know if it's
Mhm.
like even though I picture things happening in my head, like once I've set the book aside, I can kind of like shut my brain off. But if I see it on TV or whatever, those images are going to be just like entrenched into my brain forever.
That's how it was for me with the Amityville Horror. I read the book and I was fine, but I can't watch the movies.
Mhm.
Well, and like for a book, so so for me, my biggest wuss thing is jump scares, and I know when they're coming because they're very obvious, like the music and the setup. You like know it'll happen, but knowing it'll happen doesn't help. But in a book, knowing it'll happen, I can just and like
Well, and you don't have the full audio visual.
Yeah. That's
although
definitely
like for
part of
this
it.
one, I was tense at the end because as they were trying to get out of the house, I'm like, okay, so what's the moment Francis is gonna be like, Mwahaha.
Yeah.
Like, is this the moment? No. Is this like? So that was my thing.
Oh, there's one book. I don't know if you know them. If you know it, it's called Metro 2033. It's by a Russian author, and it has just like this post-apocalyptic feel. People are living in the metro, and there's this scene that the main character is just like a child, is 12 or 13, and he's just walking down this dark tunnel, and he's just like, I think I'm hearing something, and I'm just like, oh no, you're not hearing anything, please. He's just like, it's whispering my name, and I was just like dreaming later, just hearing the name right here. I was like, oh, please.
No, yeah, I read that book and I
Oh.
started it on a metro. It was a mistake.
Oh
Oh
no.
no.
Poor
That's like-
choice.
Is weird because I like it, but I don't like it. I think I don't like it because it's a traveling story.
Yeah, it's definitely a traveling story.
I have a big issue. See my
I'm
thoughts
just
for
like-
Lord of the Rings. They just walk a lot.
I'm just like so thankful that I didn't listen to it as an audiobook. That I didn't knew audiobooks back then.
Yeah.
Just like I read it and I was just like, okay, we're moving forward for this. But yeah, some shows or some books are just like terrifying.
Oh, and the librarians in that book, they're creepy too. It's a creepy book.
The librarian should never
More
be
about this book though.
Getting distracted. I don't know if there was anything else I wanted to. If I had any thoughts that I wanted to bring up.
You said the feels in the notes.
The feels.
Did anyone have any in your feelings moments?
mostly like, get away!
Yeah. Just like run. Get
Oh.
out of here. No.
I liked some of the tender moments between Noemi and Francis,
Mm-hmm.
even though I was
Amber.
still curious about his motives.
Also, this no.
My feels. I mostly was just excited to not be in my own personal feels. I was having a bad week when I read this, so I was mostly just like, oh, their situation sucks. This is great. Not me.
I'm completely fine. This is okay.
Like, at least my house doesn't have fungus in it like that.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta look on the positive side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think as I alluded to, I was like, oh, Noemi, I understand where you're at. This is a tough situation. Don't sleep with Virgil, but
Yes. What a
And we didn't talk about Catalina.
yeah.
She's just kind of there.
She is.
Until the end.
I know. I don't really have the best sense of her. I mean, I guess it's good that she was able to send off that note and everything, but I mean, other than that, she's just there.
I kind of wish that when Noemi arrives at the house, she will be just like, oh, everything is fine. You didn't need to come here. And she wasn't sick. No, she's just like, yeah, it's fine. And she would be there just sitting around and doing nothing. And instead of being just like, no, I'm so ill. I feel so bad. It will just
I
like
think
add some creepy factor.
Mm.
didn't they imply that the fungus was harder on Catalina than Noemi? Like she wasn't as good of like a match, and that's why she was a little more. I don't want to say brain dead, but she was definitely more.
Yeah.
What's the word? Starts with a
Out of
C.
it, maybe. I don't know.
Catatonic.
Yeah, kind of like
Yeah,
she was
catatonic.
definitely more like in and out, and when she was in, it was very surface level sort of thing.
Mhm.
I mean, which is kind of. I mean, I guess for thrillers, right, you want your main character to feel as isolated as possible. So if you gave her an ally, maybe that lessens the tension. Because I do feel like when writing this book, Sylvia was like, ode to all of these classic things in a story. I don't think she was trying to be innovative here, which is totally fine. Like, I think the setting's really awesome. I think the story's awesome. And I don't know how it would be if you had more allies than like the maybe ally of Francis.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just like add some discussion points if anyone else watching.
Who's everyone's favorite character.
I mean, I guess you have to go with Noemi, right? Like everyone else kind of sucks, or it's just meh.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Francis kind of sucked for the beginning of the book. I mean, you could have done something earlier, but that's another thing. But yeah. No, I mean,
I like
definitely.
that she was pretty independent
Mhm.
and just no cares about what other people thought.
Yeah.
I did
Oh,
like
we
all
wanted to go
dress
to the town.
descriptions.
Yeah, and I think Amber's making a really good point. Like it definitely kind of was lacking in female representation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess our only other ones besides the living ones where we had the woman who did kill the family 50
Yeah.
Oh,
years
yeah.
Oh
which she
yeah.
doesn't get to be as much of a character
She was
because her
really
brain
interesting.
has been absorbed into the fungal mass.
Mhm.
But she's still like trying to help in her weird, creepy way.
Yeah, definitely Amber.
I want it made clear that I don't ship any relationship here, but if she had to choose between these two white people, it should be Francis.
She took the lesser of two.
I mean, I didn't hate Francis. I thought he was mostly fine. I mean, he seemed kind of, I guess, like shy, and I liked that he was kind of doing his a little like fungal presses or whatever on the book.
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems just kind of nerdy, but yeah, like.
Although that is also creepy.
Yeah.
I can't believe he didn't know that he was going to be the one that got doiled. Like, of course it's going to be you.
Right?
Doiled.
Yeah.
Like,
obviously, it's not going to be Virgil, who's like the golden son. My God.
like that was almost a twist for like a millisecond. I'm like, no, this makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I felt the same, although I didn't see it coming at all. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, it's just going to be how it is. And then the second it happened, I was like, oh, yeah.
But maybe they knew he'd try to get out of it, so they were
Yeah.
like, surprise.
Mhm.
Well, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, so messed up.
no.
I mean, I would also, though, argue, to Amber's point, there weren't very many strong characters. Like, this was more of an
Mhm.
atmosphere-setting book with
Yeah.
plot. Like, I wouldn't say... I mean, I think Noemi is the strongest because what is it's third-person limited, almost, perspective, right? Is that what it's called? Like, we primarily get... I don't know
I
how
don't
Brando
know.
works.
The same.
We primarily get her perspective on the situation. So we get a little bit more of her thoughts and feelings. Like I liked when she picked out her outfits and dresses.
Mhm.
Like that
See,
added
I,
like
to a degree, found, especially at the very beginning, I found her kind of a little obnoxious and spoiled. And like when she got to the house, I softened a lot because she was just obviously somewhere that was just really not her. Like the second they were like, yeah, be quiet and you can't smoke it, like, and she was like, oh, what the hell is this? I had a lot more sympathy, even though obviously I like was still a bit like, yeah, you're a bit of a stuck-up idiot. And then well, she was, and then she like as she goes on, like she has her moments, and I think kind of some of the times, especially when she was like picking the outfits, I was a bit like, oh yeah, you're a rich kid.
But that's also like so reminiscent of the genre in the 1950s movies. Your female protagonist is always the like spoiled kind of well-to-do off woman who's suddenly all out of her element. Like it's just such a throwback.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I agree. I did not like Noemi for like a good 30 pages. I was
Yeah.
Yes. But I did really love her by the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will agree with all of that. Can we also talk about that rule where they're like, oh yeah, no, we just don't talk while eating?
Dinner. Yeah.
What are you
Yes.
supposed to do?
Ah. They're all just so creepy. That was definitely like, okay, something is not right here with this family. They all are acting very suspicious, and it's definitely like, I mean, we won't get into spoilers of Get Out, but it's definitely similar in tone. It's like,
Yeah, literally the second she got to the house and they were like, these are all the rules and they're all insane.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, these people suck.
And I never felt like the quiet rule made sense. Like the smoking one was explained at like the fungus didn't like the smoke. But like the quiet rule, is it really just the vibrations because the fungus everywhere would just absorb all that input and it was too sensitive? Like I didn't really buy that.
Yeah.
I genuinely think the old man just didn't like it.
Or they didn't want him to hear everything.
Yes, Amber, you need to watch Get Out.
Amber, watch Get Out tonight. Okay, and you'll understand. Just go find it.
Yes.
And then let us know your thoughts.
That's real good.
It's really good. It's highly recommend.
Yep. There was something else I was going to ask about, and now I've forgotten. So that's nice. Oh yeah, just
sorry.
Generally, like the setting, I really did enjoy this time period, and you know, I like that it's in Mexico.
Yeah, for a change. It's just like, it's not that old English house.
Yeah,
it's just an old English house in Mexico.
In Mexico.
Yeah, that's also possible that they just didn't want her to talk.
I liked the disparity as well between the more rural town and Mexico City as well. I found that really interesting. My best friend's Mexican, and she was saying it was really good rep.
Oh, really?
As well, which was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the idea that you have this prestigious old English house that is way more like it has less electricity and like plumbing than like other things in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole idea that it is less advanced than the thing they're saying is formed by a less advanced people. Like that's what these people on this hilltop think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, honestly, talking as a Brit myself, I mean, who doesn't love a Brit bad guy?
True. This
I
is
should
true.
have seen it coming.
When she was exploring the library and like wondering where the forceps were to measure brains and stuff.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was so good though.
Oh, did we actually talk when Amber was talking about how a poor woman might have coped better with it? Because I thought that was a good point.
Yeah.
That was a really good point.
Probably. That seems likely.
Yeah. I almost always think someone who has to think on their feet more often due to circumstances can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although having said that, I like that she was just like kind of used to being able to do what she wanted and getting her own way to a degree as well. And I think that helped her cope because she was like, well, I'm just going to go to town. I'm just going to do what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't care as much.
Kind of gave her the funds to, you know, sort out the bits she needed in town as well, which is good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's that scene where she's just like, no, I'm going to take the car and I'm going to drive the car.
It was so good.
And I'm just going to go.
Yes.
Let's go.
The car is my favorite character. It went through so much. That road sounded atrocious.
It did. It really did.
Francis' sweater, that.
Oh, the sweater.
So much.
See, we know more about the materials in this story than we do the character.
Yeah. Oh my.
Like that robe she kept being in when she woke up in the middle of the house somewhere after a weird dream. That robe showed up at least 2 times.
Oh yeah. That's true.
It's obviously a good robe.
Yeah, it sounded comfortable. Although I felt bad
true
for her
star of the book.
like Virgil's room with her robe just open. I'm like,
yeah. I was like, girl, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, when she was just like with the wedding gown, am I the only one who was thinking like the dress was just like with mold and that kind of thing? Which is like,
yeah.
It reminded me of
probably
Miss Havisham.
Do not
and she
want
was
that.
like the veil is yellow, and it's like, don't put that on, please.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. When did he get married to, like, Agnes or whoever's dress that? Like, is that dress hundreds of years old and just collecting mold this entire time?
Probably.
I guess for some reason, I guess I was thinking like, you know, like 50 years or whatever. But no, this is a much larger time.
Agnes might only be 100 years. So he's been doing this for hundreds of years. But I think the first body back in Europe was from that first tribe. And then when they moved to Mexico, Agnes was the new body. So Agnes might only be 100 years. But this is me trying to take stuff out of a story that wasn't meant to be taken out of it. Like, I don't think this is...
If you can't overthink a book or 3,
Yeah, that reminded me of Mrs. Havisham from Charles Dickens.
Yes.
With just the nasty dress.
Yeah. Nobody wants that.
That is like the second time this month I've heard her name, and I haven't heard her name in like 20 years. So I don't know why Miss Havisham's making it back into my life so
like 80-year-old in a 30-year-old's body.
Too funny. I'm glad that we got a couple of scenes. It was like in the cemetery, wasn't it? That seems kind of creepy. Like the fog was rolling in, and I don't know.
I always wondered if that fog was actually fog.
Ooh.
That was another thing my brain was thinking of when it was thinking of theories really fast. Is like this fog. Is it fog? What is this? Is this like? Is this like just a bunch of spores?
Oh, I didn't thought of that.
It's probably a non-zero amount of spores.
Yeah.
Well, this is fantasy, so like let's just have fun here. None of this is real.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I wasn't sure. I think it was just the altitude, because you know mountains can sometimes get that.
That's true.
Well, and you can't have a cemetery in a horror book without some kind of
ominous thing.
Yeah, I've yet to be at a cemetery with a fog. I feel like I've missed out.
Yeah.
Like in the real world, I've gone to many a well-lit and arid cemetery. Creepy.
Well, of course,
This
like,
is
I guess if you were
fantasy.
to go to one and it, like, the fog rolls in, you'll know that something is wrong and the zombie apocalypse has started.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't talked. I might do this in a Science Find the Magic, but I'm convinced a prion disease will cause the zombie apocalypse. Which, if you don't know, that's like mad cow, because that's like brain,
Yes.
eats the brain, and you get the
Yeah.
disease. That's my theory.
Yeah.
That's never
That would be a good video.
That might freak me out, but I like it.
There's nothing I could produce that could freak you out. Everyone just
No.
talks about how chill my channel is, like, and I don't think I'm a chill person, but.
I'm trying to type the other way the other name is said. It's just so hard.
Oh my.
Oh. Russian is hard, I can tell you.
Yeah, I think it's one of those languages that if you try to learn, it also doesn't have articles, right? Like they don't have V and A and things like that, right?
You need to put the article right on the last, in the same word. It's different if it's feminine or masculine, and it's just like so hard. It's just, oh.
I can barely do Spanish, which we need to practice Spanish, Lena. Why haven't we done this?
Oh, whatever you want.
My Spanish is so rusty.
We were going to buddy read a book, but only talk about it in Spanish on the Voxer.
Yeah.
It was
Oh
going
my
to
god,
mess.
that's like hardcore.
For me,
Ooh.
obviously not for her.
Well, I feel like Spain Spanish is very different from like the more Mexican Spanish that I learned growing up.
It depends on where you live in Spain. Like southern Spain, those are the people who went to Mexico, so it's a little more similar.
Well, the part where I've lived in Spain is actually really well known for being immigrants to Latin America. But yeah, the kind of southern Spanish is more, yeah, a bit more similar to it. But yeah, the proper like Spanish, like from Latin Spanish, is just like so different.
What I learned is in Maracaibo, they actually use a lot of, so there's like a whole tense in Spain Spanish that's not normally used, with the
Yep.
vosotros and all those, and it's used in Maracaibo. I don't know why.
That's great.
I'm just like, I can't handle your slang right now. I can't do it. But no, when I actually got to travel to Spain and where I was, I'm like, oh, there's no like STH sort of thing. Like it wasn't, I think it's Castilian. I don't really know. It wasn't like Barcelona and everything like that, where it has more of that accent. It was easy for me to understand and communicate with. And none of my friends could read menus. So I was just there being like, this probably pig. I'm not sure. But
That sounds like me when I'm in Spain. I'm like, I have enough to just about read a menu. That's about it. So it's like the guessing
I had
game
a friend
of
who
what it
wasn't
is on
allowed
the
to eat
tapas board.
like fructose or sucrose. I don't know. She couldn't have tomatoes, so I'd have to always be like, no tomatoes.
Oh,
Which
that's
is like
hard here. Everything has tomatoes here, so yeah, the travel is real.
I learned that for that thing you could have Smarties. We're off on a tangent, but Smarties helped counteract it, and I just like
Nice.
What?
I mean, that sounds like an excuse, but I will take it.
Yes.
Well, I guess on that tangent, maybe we should wrap this up.
Yeah. That sounds pretty good. I feel like we have had a pretty successful discussion, and I have this sitting next to me, but the book for September Club discussion, there we go, is The House of the Cerulean Sea, which I have not started yet, but I don't know.
It's
a great
amazing. Spoiler.
Yes.
It's on my Kindle, and I'm more excited to read it, if only because then I can get my Kindle back off airplane mode. For those who don't know, I just get a lot of library books, and you can put them on your Kindle and go to airplane mode, and they'll stay there forever. New things.
See, I can't get my library to do that. That's not a thing that happens.
Oh, well, America's winning in one regard.
Library, for
Yay.
sure.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't think we have a time set up for the book club discussion. My guess is it would be early September, based on what we're scheduling this. And then we had done like a first round of nominations and voting for the what would be discussed in October. So hopefully we can get a poll for those options. But I think we were deciding between Jade City, The First Sister, and Star Daughter. So lots of great stuff.
Yeah, Jade City is so good.
Amber says she used to do that with NetGalley books.
See, mine don't have a time limit on them.
No,
I'm
they don't
so
think they do
unclear on how
anymore. I
NetGalley
think
works.
they used to.
I don't understand that, Galley. It scares me. You all talk about ratios, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I have like a stack of books that are published that I can't finish. Like,
I know. I mean, we've all seen my
you go on
PBR sheet.
NetGalley and you try to get books, and then you're approved for so many of them, and
Yeah.
you don't have time to read them.
And they all come in at once.
Yes.
My favorite thing is that I have now read a good proportion of the ones I've been approved for, but I have not written almost any reviews. So that was what I was trying to do earlier.
oh, I had a question. Where do you write the reviews? Like, does it just have to be written on Goodreads, or is there a NetGalley review site? Like,
There's
where-
You can write it up in NetGalley, but then you can also link to Goodreads or post it directly there, and then you can link to your blog. And then they say if it's already out, they'll say, "Why don't you put it on like Amazon?" And for me, Waterstones, but I'm guessing for you guys, it might be Barnes and Noble.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
Weird.
easy.
Oh, this is interesting. Put the time limit up, and then that seems likely based on what I know about NetGalley and how everyone uses it.
Oh.
well, we
yeah,
could keep
I think I
chatting,
knew
but we
everybody
could
was
do that.
behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So behind.
You guys are not convincing me to get a NetGalley, so I think I'm just going to keep hiding.
Oh.
Yeah. That's probably safer for your sanity.
Yeah.
Maybe
Anyway.
if I ever catch up. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's the goal that never happens.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine it.
Oh my.
I do know you have one, Amber, and I haven't watched it because I don't want to make it easier. I don't want to get on NetGalley. I'm so scared.
Well, like I'll just randomly find myself like when I'm procrastinating on working, just be like, "Oh, well, let me just go to NetGalley," and then no, you have to stop. You cannot request more shit. Like, let's not.
Well, it's because I'm like,
even
okay,
if you
Covering
limit
just
yourself
like
to stuff
requests.
you're gonna love, you still end up with like 10 at once, and then you're like, "Oh no, past me! Oh no!"
well, and like anything I want early, I don't want an arc of. Like, I just want the final product. So, like, I don't understand if NetGalley's for me in that way.
Well, so I've been using NetGalley as like I'll request ones that I'm not fully sure that I want to buy. Like some of them have been really good, and there's been a couple that I'm like really excited about that I just like impulse request. So it really varies.
Can't wait.
Or I read a lot of cozy mysteries, so it's perfect for me because I don't want to buy all these cozy mysteries if I'm not going to really love them. So
You can find out if you like them first.
Exactly.
there you go.
But like, there's not like a DNF option on NetGalley, is there?
There is
No.
no.
Oh, is there?
Well, I think there's like a will not leave feedback or something, but I don't know if that affects your ratio. I think
it does.
yeah.
See, I would want that option to be like, this story wasn't doing it for me, and I can't like tell you how anything about the ending, but it.
Yeah, but unless you like DNF like 20% of your books, you're fine. Like I think I've used it twice.
We all know that I'm awful at DNFing books, so that's
Yeah, I'm really not good at remembering to say stop when I don't like things.
yeah.
Oh dear. Right.
All right.
Well, this has been a good discussion.
But yeah, pretty successful for our first round. Not really like having a clear plan of what to do.
I'm so impressed right now.
Yeah, but we'll have the info for the next book up soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to end the broadcast. Thanks everybody for joining in, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye guys.
Bye.